Hi. So I just posted my other video, but I wanted to talk about this topic real quick because I don't know, it just came to me. So I think when you're someone who has dealt with like really low self-esteem for most of your life, when you finally begin gaining some self-respect, it's pretty easy to go to the opposite side of the spectrum where like you start at, oh my god, I have no value, like everyone hates me, like I'm stupid, blah blah blah, all this horrible stuff. And have I already talked about this too? Whatever. And then you go to the opposite end of that where it's like everyone's stupid, I'm smarter than everyone. Where like before you're down here, everyone else is on a pedestal above you, and then you feel like the only way to counteract that is to put yourself on the pedestal and put everyone down below you. And I hope it's pretty clear, like both of those aren't healthy ways of having self-esteem. It's comparison-based self-esteem, which, disclaimer, I'm not a therapist. I just really like watching psychology content, but I'm speaking very like anecdotally here based on my own experiences where I was at this like no self-esteem to like, it's weird because I wouldn't even call it high self-esteem, but the way I felt okay was by saying like I knew something that everyone else didn't. And now I can feel myself coming to the center, which is really cool. And I think when that pendulum, it is challenging to like go from low self-esteem to like, I guess where I'm kind of at now, or where I'm going towards now, where it's like there's nothing wrong with other people. Other people might perceive the world differently from you. They might understand things differently. Let me grab my octopus. Wait, give me a sec. Ooh, this is very crooked. Okay. Yes. Wow, I maybe should have figured this out before I started recording, but it is a-okay. Okay. Will this do the job? The angle's kind of weird. Okay. The place where you want to get to, I don't know what this form of self-esteem is called, but it's where you look at the world in a very neutral way and you just recognize that everyone has been raised differently and we've all had different experiences that impact the way we not only perceive ourselves but perceive others, so that like you literally can't be better than other people, because what defines better is based on values, and we all have different values. I mean, hopefully we all share certain values, such as like justice, for example. But honestly, you can tell just based on the way our world is going that not everyone has that. If they have it as a value, it's not super high on their list. So I think that within itself should be evidence that we all have different values. We all think different things are important. What makes someone a good person, what makes someone cool, what makes someone awesome and amazing is going to be different from person to person. So to get to, I guess, non-comparison based self-esteem, which I didn't come up with this. I don't know who did, but I've definitely heard Psychology with Dr. Anna talk about this. One of my favorite channels that I've definitely mentioned before. But she talks about evaluating, like, I guess how you're doing, your value, based on how much are you aligning with your values. So the first thing you have to do is establish your values, which I made a list of them the other day, just because I hadn't done that in a while, and then understanding, am I aligning with these values right now? I'm really getting deja vu. I feel like I already talked about this, but for whatever reason, I feel called to talk about it again right now. Blame Mercury retrograde if you need to. Yeah, like, I think I'm just specifically talking about moving from that place where you're looking at everyone around you as idiots, which like doesn't feel great to say, right? But I know other people who've been in this spot where when people aren't as like introspective, for example, it's hard to not, and you're someone who is introspective and you're doing a lot of self-work, it can feel really frustrating to look at these people who aren't doing that and to like not judge them. But all judgment does is reflect to us like our own values, whether those are values that we're ready to embrace as our own, or more ones that are more tucked away in our subconscious. But like, if for example, I'm judging people for not being self-introspective, there could be this part of me that looks back at myself when I was less introspective, and has a lot of judgment for that version of myself. So I guess it always boils down to that we're all mirrors of each other, but truly, like, you're not above any. Well, let me speak from my perspective. It's not good to be like, you. I'm not better than anyone. I'm not worse than anyone. I have felt both ways before, and I'm trying to get to the place where it's like we're all just existing. I believe in soul contracts, which I've mentioned multiple times. I think we all sign up for different lives. We all sign up for different experiences, different realizations, different consciousness regarding certain things. And it's not that I never judge people. I mean, I'm trying to get to a point. Ideally, I'd like to be at a point where, like, whatever anyone else does, like, there's nuance to this, of course, but in a very general sense, like, just a random ass person, right? That should not be ruining my day. Again, like a random person, I'm not talking about like bigger world issues. But yeah, when I was writing about my different values, I realized humility was one of them. And I was actually talking with my therapist about like kind of like the shadow side of that, like the deficits of having like too much humility when you like prop it up too much to the point where you're making yourself small. But you also don't want to get to the point where you have none as well. But I am speaking for my own values, and that's one of my values. But we both agreed that humility is basically just accountability, where it's like if you've messed up, you admit it and you do what you can to make amends. And that's a value I hold for myself, but also for other people, where if someone is causing harm and people are telling them that they're causing harm, but their ego won't let them acknowledge that, that is a big problem to me. And that is a value that's something I like live up to in myself, where if I'm acting and behaving in a way that is causing harm, like, it's honestly impossible to cause zero harm with what you do when you're being authentic, like, but then we can really break down what harm even means. If we're talking about just people being upset, like, a lot of that is out of our control. I think when it's something more like direct is what I mean, where you, in order to stay authentic to yourself, you don't need to be doing this, but you're doing it for some other reason and it's causing harm. That's when it's like, why are you doing this? And that's when it's time to like challenge the ego. But yeah, wow, that was kind of like that was kind of all over the place, but it's okay. It's a journey. Self-esteem is tricky and it's nuanced, and there's like highs and lows, and it's been really interesting for myself to navigate these things, because I think I needed to be at the point where I felt like I put myself on a higher pedestal for a little bit just to like force myself to do things that I didn't have the confidence to do. But now it's nice to be at a place where I have the confidence to do things that align with my inner child, that align with my authenticity, and not be like too scared to do it. I think having that like type of self-esteem based on like, oh, I'm better than everyone else can help you. This is when I say it like has its benefits, because it can help you put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Situations that scare you. Like, I like going to concerts by myself. I like to go to things by myself, and there was a point where I was too nervous to do that on my own, and it wasn't enough for me to be like, we're all equal. I had to be like, okay, these people don't matter, which I guess we still kind of can return to, but it is very nuanced, because it's like, why don't these people matter? Because everyone does matter in a way, but in that situation I needed to feel like the judgment of these people would be able to roll off of me, and like I needed to not value that judgment and place it on a high pedestal. So yeah, values, cool stuff. It's cool how values can shift over time too. It was actually really interesting for me to write down my values and see like what I started with my top 5, and then I added 3 more, so I have like my top 8 values, I guess. Writing them down though, it's cool. It's cool when you have to think about it and kind of surprise yourself almost, where it's like, I mean, that's just the power of writing and journaling, where there's so many things that kind of like pass in our consciousness throughout the day, and once you put them down, you're able to look at them more concretely, and it's really cool. So yeah, love journaling. I love growing. I love learning more about myself. Yeah, have a good day.